You are leaving. Goodbye. Oh, do I have a wrap up for you? I have a lot of books to talk about. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you can see this stack here, but here. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So one of these is a DNF. So I read 8 books in February, which is pretty crazy considering that February is one of the shortest months. But yeah, I'm going to be talking about the books I read in February. Obviously, they're going to be in no particular order, and I do want to say some of these books are coming up in different reading vlogs. So I'll try to see, I don't know if these reading vlogs are going to be out before or after this. I really don't know because I'm getting really behind, okay? So before we begin, I want to say that I read 8 books this month, and I read 1 YA romance, 3 regular romance, 2 romantasy, 2 dark romance, and I had 1 DNF. First book I want to talk about is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is the first book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I love this book so much. If you guys watch my romance reading vlog, which should be out, I gave this a 5 stars. I loved everything about this book, and if you don't know what this book is about, I'll try to keep it really brief, but it's about this girl named Evangeline Fox, and her one true love, or the guy she thinks is her one true love, is getting married. And in order to stop the wedding, she asks Jax, the Prince of Hearts, for help. And with that, they make it like a deal. And obviously, you never make a deal with a fate because they tend to trick you, and the deal becomes more than what you bargained for. And basically this book is kind of just like this big adventure. You've read Caraval, I read Caraval. Caraval kind of gave this circus, dark, magical vibe, but this book is still magical, but it gives very fairy tale, very Alice in Wonderland. This book is definitely slow burn. Don't go into it thinking there's going to be a ton of romance. There's absolutely not. There's maybe 1 or 2 little flirty things that happen in this book, but I think overall the adventure and the vibe of this book is so fun, and this pacing is really good. There really wasn't any slow parts at all, and I absolutely love this series so far, and I gave the first book a 5 star. This was so good. I literally have 0 complaints. Okay, the next book I want to talk about, this book is coming up in a reading vlog very soon. I don't know if it's out. I really don't know, but I read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I don't know if it's the 3rd book in this interconnected series, but I read this first. I really don't think it matters too much. So Emma and Justin, they're both cursed. Every person that they date and break up, the person that broke up with them finds their true love. So Justin puts this up online, an article on Reddit or something online, and then Emma sees this article and she's like, wait, that's really weird because the same exact thing happens to me. And her friend is like, why don't you just DM him? And then she does, and then they end up meeting, and it just becomes this cute romance where they're like, okay, you know what, if we date each other and go on these dates, maybe after we break up we'll find our true love. It sounds cheesy, it sounds corny, but it's actually really cute. I love Abby Jimenez's writing. This is my first actual novel by her. I read her novellas, but this one was so good. The characters are so relatable. Something I really loved about Justin is that he talked about how much he loved the Trader Joe's dark chocolate peanut butter cups, and literally when I was reading this, I literally went to go get Trader Joe's peanut butter cups and ate them while I was reading it. What I really like about this book as well is that the author took very realistic situations, and the way she inserted them into their storyline, it felt natural is what I'm trying to say. Sometimes when I read books and something happens, it's oh, of course that's gonna happen, or oh, that feels kind of cringe. But this one, it actually felt realistic, and I thought that she did a really good job of making it just seem very relatable and real. And at first, I do want to say, at first I was getting really annoyed with Emma and her hesitancy on being with Justin, but after thinking about it, I put myself in her situation, and I was like, you know what, I could see why she would think like that. I found myself relating to Emma more than I thought I would. Stuff with her family, and especially she has this love for a specific stuffed animal, and it's so funny because out of all the books that I've read, and all the sad moments that haven't made me cry, a part with a stuffed animal made me tear up. So I gave this book a 4.5. I don't know why it wasn't really a 5-star. I guess it just didn't give me that feeling. I really don't know what to say about this. I really don't know what to say about this one. It took me a really long time to read Onyx Storm. I started reading this right when it came out. It was like at the end of January or something like that. I don't really remember. And I finally finished it in the beginning of February. This book. It's honestly still hard to think about my thoughts for this. I have a reading vlog out for this book if you guys want to check it out. I'll link it in the description. But I gave this a 4, okay? And that's kind of low considering I gave Iron Flame and Fourth Wing 5 stars. I enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the adventure, but the way it ended, it felt like we literally didn't go anywhere. Like, I understand the ending, and maybe, like, after reading it a few times, I had to read the ending a few times to fully understand what exactly happened. I just felt like that we didn't go anywhere. There were times, a lot of times in this book, where I felt very confused and I didn't really know what was going on. But, you know, I still enjoy the adventure, and because I love this world so much, that's why I gave it a 4. I liked the part where learning more about Andarna. I liked meeting Broccoli. I thought that was funny. I thought that part was funny. But, like, felt like a filler. It really felt like a filler. That's why I gave it only a 4. And I say only a 4. A 4 is still a really good rating, but just in comparison to the other two, it just wasn't my favorite. This is definitely my least favorite out of all of them. But I mean, obviously I'm still gonna read this series, and I'm obviously still really intrigued. Ooh, okay. This is also in my romance reading vlog, Moment of Truth by Casey West. This book is a cutesy YA book about Hadley. She's a swimmer, and suddenly at one of her swim meets, very important swim meets, there is a guy dressed up as the town's like latest like action superhero. So think of like if Spider-Man showed up and basically kind of crashed her swim meet, and at that point she was like, I need to figure out who this guy is and get him to stop, because it's more than just this one event. He keeps going to big events and like messing things up and kind of taking the spotlight away. Her and her friend are trying to figure out who's Heath Hall, what's going on. It's very much like a coming of age book, I would say. I would definitely recommend it if you are of YA age and want to read it, but you know, any age can read this book. But it's just a cutesy, fluffy romance book. I gave it a 3-star. It wasn't something that I was like really excited to read when I got home from work, but it really was cute, and it's bingeable, easy, very easy to read. Okay, and the next book I want to talk about, which I've never read this genre before. This is brand new to me. I read Scarred by Emily McIntyre. This is a dark romance, and not only is it a dark romance, it's kind of like not a retelling, but it's based off of the Lion King characters. So obviously our main character in this book is Scar. He goes by Tristan, and Mufasa, who goes by Michael. So Michael and Tristan's father, something happens, and Michael is now ready to take the throne, but Tristan is wanting the throne. He wants to take it for himself. And it's interesting to kind of read from the evil perspective. Also, we have a character named Sarah, who I think is Sarabi. So her plan is to marry the king and like take over. You know, she's out for revenge, okay? And then she meets Tristan, and a lot of sparks fly between them. So something I really liked about this book in particular is that the author took significant events from The Lion King and put them into this book. Like, you can see the parallels, and I thought that was really, really interesting. The moments that she paralleled from the movie or whatever, they weren't like out of the blue. They didn't feel forced into the book, and I thought that was really, really cool. So obviously, since it's a dark romance, I went into it knowing it was gonna be dark and spicy, and it is. It very much is. But I really liked the story between Tristan and Sarah and Michael, and I thought it was really, really cool to like just see the parallels. I thought that was the most like interesting part about it. And the end of it was kind of sad. the end of it was kind of sad. I felt bad for a particular character, but I really, really liked this book. I gave it a 4.5, surprisingly. I really, really liked it. I haven't read Hooked or any of the other ones in this series, but I'm definitely going to. This was really, really cool. And if you love The Lion King and you don't mind reading about dark romance and spice, I definitely recommend this because just the parallels were really, really cool. I really, really enjoyed it. All right, the next book I want to talk about is Daydream by Hannah Grace. This is the third book in the Maple Hill series, and this book is my favorite out of the three, honestly. I feel like out of all of the couples so far in Maple Hills, I feel like Hallie and Henry were the best suited for each other in this book. Basically, this story is about Henry. We see Henry a little bit in the first two books, and I've always been curious about his story. And Hallie, she's a part of this book club, and Henry decides to go to the library to find books on how to be like a leader. And basically they meet each other, and right when they meet, it's not even like immediate lust. It's like they just see each other and they think each other is attractive, but there wasn't really ever any moments where I felt like it was just forced lust. That's something that these two books had, Icebreaker and Wildfire. I just feel like they like immediately went into banging, but in this one they really took the time to get to know each other and help each other out. I gave this book a 4.5. There definitely wasn't as much spice in this one, but the spicy parts are very spicy. And also I liked the neurodivergent representation that we had in this book too. Characters really helped each other kind of navigate these neurodivergent traits rather than hiding them, and I really, really liked that. And they just really helped each other out a lot. And it was just a very sweet book. I really liked it. So Henry has a hard time focusing on like reading and things like that for like his classes. He's not doing very well. Now that he's the captain of the hockey team that they talk about in Icebreaker, he's the captain and he's not doing good in his classes, so he needs help. But then Hallie also needs help because she wants to write a novel, like a romance novel, but she can't because she literally has no experience at all. So they decide to help each other out. She helps him by like helping him be able to like study better. Like there are tricks that she teaches him on how to like focus and stuff. And then he helps her by like taking her on dates and making her feel like she, you know, giving her that experience to help with her novel that she wants to write. And it's just really, really sweet. It just didn't feel like a 5-star, but like this book was so good. I really, really enjoyed it a lot. It was just a very sweet book. Like the things that Henry did for Hallie was just so cute. Okay, the next book I want to talk about is Flawless by Elsie Silver. This book is also in that other reading vlog that should be out by now. And this book was very much okay. It was very much okay. I liked the country feel of the book. It felt very cute and like springy, summery. It was cute. I knew that these books were gonna be like really spicy going into them. I don't mind it, but the amount of it was just taking me out of the story, and it just kind of annoyed me, and I found myself wanting to skip it. But yeah, that was like the only thing that was like annoying, but like I liked the plot twist at the end. The plot twist that they had was really, really interesting and kind of nuts in my opinion, and I'm really interested to see what comes of that plot twist. I'm really curious to read Summer's sister's book, and I am so excited to read the next book in this series. I hear that's a lot of people's favorites, and I have hope because I hear that this one is not a lot of people's favorites, so I'm hoping the series just gets better from here. But yeah, I gave this a 3. If you're looking for just a really easy, fun, spicy read and set in like cowboy, I definitely recommend this series. And these covers are so pretty. I like them a lot. Oh, we're getting so close to the end, and the last book, okay, before I get to the last book, I do want to talk about a book that I DNF'd. I should have talked about this at the beginning, but I kind of forgot about it. The book I DNF'd was For the Wolf by Hannah Witten. I tried, okay, and I think honestly what I mean by DNF is soft DNF. I think this book has a lot of potential to be really, really cool, but like I felt so lost, and I don't know if it was me and just the timing of me listening to it. I felt so lost listening to this book, but it seems very interesting. It's like the fantasy aspect in this book is interesting because one daughter is for the throne and the other daughter is for the wolf. Red, she gets taken to the Wilderwood and she's like basically given to the wolf. They have to like sacrifice some of their blood to the Wilderwood to like keep the monsters at bay and stuff, and I thought that was interesting, but there was just a lot of like info dumping that I wasn't really understanding. I literally got like 65% through this book, and I just didn't want to continue it and not be understanding what was going on, because I knew that was just gonna mess up the writing in my head. And I want to give this book another chance someday, especially because I have the second book, and the second book is about her sister. But yeah, I had to DNF this book, but I'm definitely gonna consider going back to it. I don't know when. I feel like I just need to read more fantasy, because I'm still kind of a new reader, so I'm like trying to get into more fantasy genre instead of just romantasy. I think this one is a dark fantasy. It says dark fantasy on here. There's not really a lot of romance either, so I don't know. I just kind of felt stupid reading it because I wasn't understanding what was happening, but it's definitely going to be a softie enough because I think it has a lot of potential to be a fun read. And the last book, finally, oh my gosh, I feel like I've been talking for so long. So the last book I read was another dark romance, okay? And I think I mentioned that I read one dark romance that I liked and one dark romance that I didn't like. And this was the one I didn't like. I gave this a 2. It seems interesting going into it, right? This girl, I'm referring to my Goodreads review. So the story at first was really interesting. We open up to Alina. She is getting married. So Alina is the daughter of this dude that's really high in the mafia or something. And basically she's getting married to this other character that'll kind of like, you know, bring the families together and the companies together, you know, whatever, right? Basically arranged marriage. And then something happens to him, and then Cal shows up, okay? Cal shows up. Basically, he's like, oh, you're gonna marry me instead. So that part was interesting. I was like, okay, interesting, you know, he's pining after her, that's fun. But basically after they got married, the story got really boring. It was kind of reminding me of how I felt like in ACOTAR, where Tamlin is out like doing his duty or whatever it is he was doing, and then Feyre was like in the castle just waiting for him. That's literally what it was like for like a long chunk of the book. She was just kind of going around, she was talking about how she was lonely, she was like not doing anything, she was reading all day. The plot felt everywhere. It really felt everywhere, because it's like they were focused on one thing and then they're focused on another thing. And the amount of spice in this book was also a lot, but I didn't know that going into it, so that's not like dwindling my rating at all. It's literally like just the story got boring, and then towards the end it's just dropping all these bombs, and I'm like, whoa, like we should have spaced them out a little bit. There was a plot twist that I did not see coming in this book, and it shocked me, but not in the best way, because I get that it's a dark romance, but I was like, ew. The thing is, this is a long series, and I'm not gonna lie, I was interested in potentially continuing this series if it got better, but I read some reviews for the second book. It doesn't get any better. But yeah, just the plot was just like everywhere, and that's what I didn't like about it. And that is all the books that I read in February. Here are all the books. This is like kind of a lot. I am quite proud of myself, just minus the DNF, wherever that is right here. Finished series I'm in the middle of, kind of, but I've also started quite a few new ones, so that's fun. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and hopefully I will see you in the next video very soon. And let me know what your favorite book was that you read in February. Obviously, my favorite book I read in February was Once Upon a Broken Heart, because it was my only 5 stars. But yes, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!